Welcome back to the Monkeyscrolls podcast. This week we watched The Thing from 1982. I'm one of your hosts, Joseph Gehring. With me is...
I'm Kiefer Moore.
And I'm Kayla.
And like I said, this week we watched The Thing, directed by John Carpenter, kind of following our theme from last week and the theme for the month, something kind of spooky. A little background about the movie. It was based on a novella from 1938 by John W. Campbell Jr. called Who Goes There. Follows almost the same exact story. They made a movie in 1951 called The Thing from Another World that's also based on it, but this movie is actually more faithful to the novella than the 1951 one was. I felt it was a good closeout to the Halloween season, so that's why it was my pick, and it's one of my favorite horror movies of all time.
It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I could
really
take it out of the horror genre.
Yeah,
I thought it was really good.
Caleb, was this your first time watching it?
I saw parts of it when I was a kid, but this is my first time as somebody with a conscious brain watching it.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I probably saw it in like high school. But yeah, I watched it. This is the first time with fresh eyes, and I thought it was fantastic. I think John Carpenter might just be a G.
For sure.
There's definitely like something in John Carpenter's brain that activates the full extent of artistry, because like his music and his movies, like that's a killer right there,
Yeah, for sure. I thought it was well done. I thought the pacing was good, especially because it didn't spend too much time rolling you into things. Some scientists just came out of the guy shooting at a dog, and then it was just like, man, why is he shooting? And then some guy just got popped in the head.
Yeah,
into the movie.
It's like there's no exposition. It just is like, this is happening now. Guess what, guys?
Yeah, you don't really need much exposition to be fucking terrified that something's stealing your friends' bodies.
No. I love that opening too, because it sets up the scene of their out in the middle of fucking Antarctica, in the middle of nowhere. And you kind of get your little bit what kind of how every character is, just a little. You don't get it too much until later, but it gives you your taste. And then it just helicopter is shooting at a dog, and they're like, "What the fuck's going on?"
Yeah, out of nowhere, just a helicopter comes out of the mountains, and these crazy Swedes are just shooting at a dog.
Norwegians.
The joke is that Kurt Russell calls them Swedes over and over, until he finds their camp, and then he's like, the Norwegians.
Oh yeah, then he's serious.
Yeah.
My one big thing I have a problem with, I mean, they couldn't have been saved anyway because the dog was with them, but like, they go over there and then they see this fucking hideous monstrosity fucking frozen in the snow. They're just like, man, we should go cut it open.
Oh, they're also nonchalant about it, so they're just like barehanded tearing legs off of the thing on the table. And
yeah, they're just like, this is very interesting. The guts. Yeah, the practical effects look fantastic.
I think that's what makes it timeless.
I think practical effects look better than CGI today and in general. And like you said, I think this movie still looks fantastic.
Well, I think that's what sets it apart from the new one, because the new one wasn't bad, but I watched it once and I don't really need to ever watch it again. This one, you get so many cool scenes because of the practical effects. The dog splitting open, the head with the legs, the whips that come out of the thing and flail around. I loved all of those scenes.
I haven't seen the new one, but I'm probably going to watch it because I watch this one.
Yeah, you should. It's just it loses what makes it special with all the CG.
It's okay. I mean, to me, it's kind of the same story is the problem with it, Like they already made The Thing and it's perfect. So when they made it's supposed to be it's a prequel, right? Technically.
Is the new one about the Norwegian camp? I don't remember.
Yeah. 2000. The one that came out in 2011 is a prequel, but it's almost the same story because they're going through the same shit. The only difference is it shows them finding the the alien and that type of stuff. But they went heavy on the CG. I think just because the times where they thought computer graphics people wanted that, even though they did do a lot of practical originally on that one, but they went CG, and it definitely loses some of the charm that this has from having the practical effects, because when it's a head,
great.
yeah, when it's a head walking around with spiders, that's an actual object that's there that people can react to.
Oh yeah, and speaking of the practical effects, I think they actually terrified the living hell out of those dogs. I think they threw that machine in there with the dog splitting itself in half. I think we got some real scared dogs on camera there.
I think we got good dog acting in this movie. I mean, let's talk about Jed, who played Dog.
Okay, no, solid.
I was watching on Amazon, so yeah, they credited Jed as Dog.
Dude, that dog at the beginning, there's some,
Jed did fantastic.
Dude, he's a sneaky little dog, and it's,
Rest
it
in
worked.
peace to a true acting legend.
Yeah, Jet, rest in peace, dude.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean, like when he's sulking around and like walking next to the guy, and he stops and he looks at the other dogs, and like they got a good performance out of that dog.
Yeah, I think children and animals are some of the worst people to work with, and I believe that dog might have been an alien.
Jed's a true professional.
He's a true professional, yeah, for sure. There's about the movie, it's just these guys out in the middle of Antarctica get attacked by the Thing, and the Thing is, alien from another world it assimilates DNA. They show one scene where the doctor is
playing Galaga.
Well, yeah, he's playing Galaga, and this version of Galaga shows like the cell of this creature taking over and becoming the other ones, and basically
that was the weakest part.
Yeah, it's that's dated for sure.
The computer simulations did kind of bug me, but that's what the movie's really about. It wasn't about early onset like diabetes like symptoms.
Well, thank God for Brimley being there, because I'm sure he reminded everyone the whole time about him.
Dude, it made me laugh really hard because, I mean, to me, my whole life, that guy was the diabetes commercial.
Yeah.
And he did a great job in this. When he was tearing apart the comm room, just one of my favorite lines was probably when the guy looks through the doorway and he's like, "Come on, you don't want to hurt anyone." And he turns with the revolver and he's like, "I'll kill you."
Dude, he's
a serious part.
He's like perfectly unstable.
But you can't shoot for shit. He fucking shot that wall 20 times before, and didn't even hit what was his name, Childs. But like when Dog Boy tried to grab Kurt Russell, he just popped him one fucking in 2 seconds.
Dude, that moment happened so fast. I felt like I missed it after Dog Boy grabs him and it transfers. It cuts to them tied up on the couch, and he's like, his hands are all tied and shit. And I was like, wait a second, I blinked. What the fuck?
Yeah.
But then it's just then there's just a dead body laying there in the background, and it looks good. The even that it's just something in the background, but it looks good, and you're like, dude, that's just that's a body back there.
Yeah. Andy was human, so like.
Oh, that's the worst part, because they're doing they're trying to figure out a test what they're gonna do, and one of their medical doctor, he's like, oh, we could use whole blood and figure it out. I don't remember the exact thing for that. Comparing it against uncontaminated blood is what they're gonna do. That's right. And they get there and the blood's all been leaked out, and they're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's where the movie kind of, I mean, the whole time you're like, where is the shape-shifting alien? And you're just kind of thinking it's a creature, it's not really intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
But then you find out it came in a spaceship, so it is some sort of intelligence. Then you find out the blood is sabotaged, so it's thinking on a higher level than like just assuming the form of a dog and trying to reproduce like a virus.
Yeah, it's smart.
So it kind of, what makes me love it so much, it's kind of like Clue, but one of you is an alien. It's like, oh, who done it? But then who done it again and again?
Yeah, how many of y'all done it?
Right.
I also like that the whole time, you're never told who is. You're never. I mean, they do kind of tell you one person, but they don't tell you everyone. They tell you whatever the crazy dude's name is, but then he's just a crazy dude. Like they cut to him and he's talking about like, oh, it's fucking lizards and Illuminati shit, and it turns out that whole time he's the Thing. So it like perfectly copies this guy.
Yeah. And it makes sense too if you think about it, because like he was the first one who interacted with it, because he was fucking dig deep in that thing.
Yeah.
From the start, like he was just like, oh, I better play with all of its guts.
Yeah.
And they were saying how like,
on you,
yeah,
after
a little bit of his blood will get you, and then
right. Yeah, and they kind of allude to it because all you see is the dog go into a room with a shadow against the wall.
Mm-hmm.
But later on, one of the characters says it only needs to be alone with you for a little bit. I think that's the first thing you think back.
Yeah, that's definitely your like recall moment. You're like, oh, right. And you kind of can, it's that guy's crazy hair. You can kind of recognize. You're like, okay, that guy might be bad, but I think they mention, is it he'd only need to be in the room? It's before they do the blood test though, right? Yeah, because that's when the doctor figures it out, or whatever Wilford Brimley is supposed to be. I don't know if he was supposed to be a doctor or just a guy that liked to cut open bodies. Because they have a medical doctor, they like specifically call him the medical doctor, but
I
they
think
never
he got kind of obsessed with studying by himself. He didn't trust anybody way before everyone else didn't trust anybody.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, there was a doctor. I got confused a few times too. It says like, wait, these aren't the doctor's hands cutting this thing open.
Yeah.
Multiple people got their hands on scalpels.
They list Wilford Brimley's character Blair as their biologist, so I guess a biologist would probably be some form of doctor, but maybe not a medical doctor.
Nah, you can scoot by with an associate's in biology and work on aliens.
Dude, it was 1982, so
you know what I'm saying? Probably. You take one class picking up some bugs, dude. You're cutting open aliens next year.
I like too that, like I said earlier, it never tells you who is the bad guy. You find out when everyone else does. So it's almost like the camera, your perspective is almost another character who's, there just experiencing it with everyone in the paranoia. Kurt Russell is amazing. Like he can't, he plays kind of the cowboy character, I guess, but his extreme paranoia near the end after they lock him out and he's just holding a piece of dynamite in front of a flamethrower the whole time. He's like, I'll blow us all the fuck up. And I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah, I loved his character from the very beginning. I think they make a lovable character, just who hasn't wanted to pour some whiskey in their chess computer.
Dude, that was one of my favorite parts. Just losing, you bitch. And he pours.
You cheating bitch.
And like, when you think about it, that's probably one of the only things he had to do in Antarctica for who knows how many months, and just to not care at that level, just like, I'll break the chess computer.
That was their fucking entertainment. He's just, bye, this you fucking cheating bitch. You
cheating bitch. I love that part.
No, it's fine, and I thought what I like too is like you guys were saying. There's a lot of angles this movie comes in at where like, it's got grotesque imagery, it's got the psychological theme of like you can't trust anyone else, it's got like the bad guy chasing you, kind of feel like it really attacks horror from like a whole bunch of dynamic angles, which I think is interesting. It kind of makes it good too.
One of the scenes that I really liked was where they leave one of the guys alone with the creature's body, and they're talking about how there was still activity in the cell as it was just still frozen. And when they get back, he's like being assimilated, and
it's got its tentacles around his neck.
Yeah, and it's like partly him, and just starts like it opens its mouth and just screams because it's hasn't gotten to the point where it like can look like or like talk like the person. And I was like, oh shit, man, there's
that the part where he's out in the snow on his knees with his long fingers and he lets out the shriek.
Yeah, he runs outside.
Okay. That part was actually terrifying. Just whatever sound they used to make that was crazy. Would you say that's one of your favorite scenes?
Dude, this whole thing has just got so many like favorite scenes because it just the isolation brings so much to it. I could not pick a favorite scene. I don't think.
I try really hard, and what I came up with was the blood test. I love the blood test where the dude starts transforming next to the dudes who are tied up, and they're just absolutely terrified. That was my favorite part, because I actually got scared when he put I knew it was coming too, and he puts the hot wire in the blood and it shrieks.
And he jumps like 10 feet. I love it.
Right.
I love the crab head. I can't get over that.
You know what? I think if I'm gonna pick a favorite scene, it's probably cliche as fuck, but the one where the fat dude, what's his name, Norris or whatever, I think, where he dies, and they're doing the defibrillator on him. They're shocking him because they think he had a heart attack, and they go for one of them, and his chest opens up, and he's the thing, and they had no clue. They trusted him, because even at one point, they nominate him to be the leader when they think their original leader is, like, he lost it. They're like, and he just says, no, I it's too much for me. And then he dies, and they just, oh, fuck.
Yeah, just rips the dude's arms off.
Yeah,
that was
bites
great.
him up, and it's this brutal, bloody scene. I mean, it's not grotesque, but it could have been way more worse. You know?
Yeah, it was a clean chomp. For all the other times where there's body stretching and necks ripping and like sinew and blood and pus,
barely little arms getting ripped off.
Yeah. I mean, I think there might be some desensitization from us just because this movie came out in 82 and we've probably seen way worse things in movies nowadays, you know?
It's a small bite.
So like a guy getting his arms bitten off is like bad in 1982, but now it's like, oh man, that's fucking gross.
What else you got?
Yeah.
I saw that on Nickelodeon when I was 5. What else you got?
I don't know if you guys knew this, but this movie was hated when it came out.
What?
People
a lot of John Carpenter movies were critical flops.
When this came out in 82, it was called Instant Junk and Wretched Excess. It was proposed as the most hated film of all time by magazine Cinefantastique.
Well, the thing is still around, and I've never heard of magazine Cinefantastique. No. So there you go.
But I think most people, because E.T. came out the same year.
That sack of crap.
Dude, it's fucking pro-alien propaganda, dude.
No, it's exactly what it is, because it was 80... You think about, like, the time that 1982... Like, there was a recession going on. The thing is, like, super, like... It's not pleasant. Like, everything sucks.
You think people are just looking for something uplifting?
Yeah, like E.T. was uplifting, like, look, the aliens can be nice, and this was just like, yo, fuck you, aliens are coming for us, man.
Yeah. So like for example, I mean, that's just big fake news right there, bro. Well, that's all that is. Fucking, but so movies like The Thing, Christine, Big Trouble in Little China, and They Live were all like critically panned, but are now cult classics.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking there was just a fucking John Carpenter disinformation campaign in the 70s and 80s, bro.
I think John Carpenter might have been too ahead of his time. Like, you know, you look back at these movies that flopped that people love nowadays. You know, this isn't even a cult classic. This is like, you ask anyone if they like The Thing, they're probably going to say yes if they've seen it. You know?
Yeah.
But back in 82, they hated it. They called it grotesque and gross, boring. Someone called it fucking cold and sterile. They just absolutely hated it. Everyone, but like the one nice thing everyone said was the effects looked really good, and it's probably because they spent like 1.5 million on effects. Yeah, out of 15 million, so a good chunk went to just the effects.
Yeah, and that's 82 money. That's at least $600 trillion now.
Yeah, $6,947 million now. It like, look, if you look at the fucking budget compared to box office in North America, it made $19.6 million on a $15 million budget, so it like barely broke even. And
That's disappointing.
yeah,
But
and like nowadays, people love it.
It's got, if you look at the ratings currently, it's 85% on Rotten Tomatoes, 8.1 out of 10 on IMDb, and 92 on Google. So like people now like it, but it's crazy how everybody in 1982 was a fucking sheep for fucking whoever the fuck did ET. Was it Steven Spielberg?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a fucking commie. So he's a fucking red shill, bro. Fuck that noise, dude. This is a true American classic.
It's amazing. I can't even. When I was watching the movie, I was just thinking about how great it was, where they focused on all the right things, where they find the alien spaceship, but they don't linger on it too long. They get right back to the base to study stuff.
Yeah, they're just like, that's fucking weird, but all right.
The pace was pretty quick. Once the people start dropping, they start dropping fast, and it's kind of hard to keep up with what characters are still around and which characters were even there at the start. Because, I mean, it gets down to it. There's 2 at the end, and
well, that's a thing too. That there's just 2 guys at the end, and it's Childs and McCready, Kurt Russell and Keith David's characters. Keith David's Childs, Kurt Russell is McCready, and Kurt Russell just fucking blew up the thing with all the gasoline in the whole place. And Childs comes up and he's like, "I got lost in the storm." It's like, you got lost in the storm? There's a whole fucking, the base just blew up, and then it just ends. They take a drink of the whiskey he has, and it's just, all right, credits.
Right, and you don't. I mean, the camera doesn't focus on McCready the whole time either.
No.
So either of them could have been the thing, or neither of them, and it was just the audience doesn't know at the end.
Yeah.
And also, they talk about how they're gonna die being out in negative 40-degree weather, and they just blew the base up. So, I mean. Well, there's really no hope.
And the thing that's interesting, though, is that the thing wants to freeze.
Yeah.
Right.
So, like, if one of them is the thing, it's getting what it wants, so it doesn't even have to kill the other guy.
No, right. No matter what, they lose. Like, if they're both humans, they're dead. If one of them's the thing... And
even if they hadn't blown up the thing, they said that the base... It was going to freeze no matter what.
Yeah, like that's what its goal was. Once it realized that once they knew how to detect it, it was trying to get out and go freeze itself. Something we didn't talk about is Wilford Brimley after he does that crazy thing where he destroys the radio room. He's like, "None of you getting the fuck out of here." He doesn't sound like that, but they lock him up in like the storage shed out, and they go to like check on him, and he's fucking gone. And then they look underneath the floorboards, and the thing has made a whole room and started building a fucking spaceship.
Yes, I love that part. I also don't remember that from watching it a long time ago. This was like kind of new to me because I just didn't remember. But do you think that he was the thing acting like a fool in the base trying to get isolated so that he could build the ship? Do you think he was infected at that point? Or do you think it was afterwards the thing went out there?
I think it's afterwards. I think it's afterwards because
I think he was infected the whole time.
He destroys everything and he had no reason to because they could have called for help and they didn't know how bad it was. And then if he was the
thing and it wanted to start building its own ship,
it'd want to be isolated.
The helicopter. Yeah, he'd want to be isolated, right?
I mean, one of those parts.
But
and then especially when considering, I mean, he's the first one that touched it, and they said that even a little bit of its blood will infect you, and he fucking was sticking his hands in the middle of it and touching it with his raw hand. Like,
I think the only thing we can know is for sure he becomes the thing, but...
Oh, definitely. I was just wondering, at what point do you think?
I think it's when they go to check on him, and he's calm. He's like, I just want to come back in, guys. I think at that point, he's the thing. When they first lock him up, and he's insane and crazy, and like... that seems more how a person would actually be reacting. And when they come back, he's like, I just want to go back in, seems more like the, oh, I'm fine, guys. Now, like, trying to be tricksy.
Yeah, and there's no way to know for sure. I just kind of wanted to know what you guys thought, because it doesn't tell you. It's not obvious.
I had the long con in my head when I was watching it, thinking that, I mean, it had a fucking tunnel down there where it was building a spaceship. And like I said, they were saying that they couldn't even make each other food because what if a blood cell got into the fucking food and it infected you? And this guy fucking at least had
Well, he was
both
digging
his
in the
nuts,
frozen
his
body,
dick, and his
so
full arms.
It's like we'll never know that when
Yeah.
he becomes the thing. We just know he does. I do like that too. When they first open the little door to check on him, there's just a fucking noose hanging right there.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
yeah.
framed that really well.
It like
That was a good
perfectly
scene.
like it frames so he's looking through it at them, and I was like, oh yeah, we're losing it.
Can I come inside now?
I just want to come in, guys. Come on. Oh, and then they're going back, and Kurt Russell's like, we need to go up to my shack, and the guy that's with him's like, why? He's like, well, when I left the other night, I turned the lights off, and they show his shack, and the lights are on. And they just come back, and they that's when they find the jacket that says McCready all torn up. And they mentioned before, it's like it can't keep the clothes. It like expands the person, it shreds them, and so they totally are scared of him at that point. And
yeah, that was another sign that the thing was smarter than just some virus spreading itself. It's like it framed McCready.
Yeah, it knew what it was doing. It was like, that's scary.
I thought the movie was fantastic.
Yeah, fantastic
Absolutely.
movie. You know, this is what surprised me because it's a John Carpenter movie. I thought he would have done this with his standard. You know, he does the music and like Deborah Hill helps produce and write it.
There's a distinct lack of John Carpenter music, but it's probably for the best.
Yeah, then the music was done by Ennio. I never know how. I'm never gonna say this guy's name right. Ennio Morricone. He's an Italian composer. He did a lot of like the spaghetti western themes and stuff like that. You'd probably know him from this. He does the score to The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Is like his famous one that everyone knows. And I thought that was cool that it was someone different, and the music was perfect for you know it was suspenseful, had hits and everything, but it worked really well.
And it was, I mean, in a way where it wasn't in your face. It kind of blended in the background.
Yeah, which definitely this is what it needed, something more subtle to go with everything of the movie. Because
John Carpenter on the keyboard during the suspense part going down, 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 it would just kind of kill this
yeah.
one. I mean, kind of off topic. Have you guys heard the latest John Carpenter album?
No.
I
Okay.
know.
If we keep doing John Carpenter movies, you might need to check it out.
We're just
To see how lucky we were.
we're gonna review the John
music
Carpenter
behind the
album.
movies. It's not that bad, but
I'm gonna make a fan film where it's called The Shape, and it's like they go to Antarctica and like dig up something, but they pull out Michael Myers, and like they lock him away, but then he builds a spaceship.
he finds Jason up there.
Oh yeah, and then we get a fight in space between two unstoppable forces. Hell yeah!
I'll watch.
Easy fanfic right there. But they both fall in love with the same girl.
Leprechaun in space.
Oh my god!
Leprechaun versus Chucky in space, dude.
You know what's interesting is they filmed a couple endings to this, because the ending we get is McCready and Childs, like we talked about, and the uncertainty of if one of them's a thing or not. But they filmed one where like it shows McCready like getting rescued and given a blood test. There was another one where he blows up the thing and like it's super heroic, and then they made another one where it just ends with him out in the fucking cold. Childs never shows up. And I think the one without Childs would be very interesting because you're still left one like, yeah, he blew up the thing at the end, but
where the fuck is Childs all the time?
Well, where's Childs? We see him run off, and then also, like you said, they talk about how one spot of blood could infect you. Yeah. So, when you blow something up, it goes everywhere.
Oh, for sure.
So does, that would be an interesting ending. Still, I don't think near as nihilistic as the ending we got, but
Yeah, I like the ending we got because it's just like they're both like sus as fuck. They just don't know what the hell's going on. They're just like, is it you or is it you?
Yeah.
And then like either way, if the thing is alive, it's getting what it wants because it's either gonna eat the other guy or freeze and get found, or if they're both okay, they're both gonna die. So
Yeah.
like,
There's
there's no real W.
Yeah, it's not. It's you might get a W for mankind, but the characters at the base definitely lose. Because springtime's gonna come and the normal rescue team's gonna show up, and there's not gonna be a base and either 2 frozen corpses or 1 frozen monster that's about to get warmed up by them.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, look at this cute dog.
I mean, the whole time, the whole situation was dire, but I feel like they kind of realized it way too late. Where, I mean, they saw the Norwegian base blown up on fire, nothing left.
Throats ripped. Yeah.
They didn't even consider that that's going to happen to them till way too late. Even to the point where they bring back the mutant monster, put on the table, and Childs is like, I don't believe any of this voodoo shit. It's like, do you see this monster from outer space?
Yeah, like something's
going
on here.
Yeah, it's not some voodoo spell someone cursed you with. Like,
yeah, name one thing in regular reality that makes this thing exist, because you can't. This is from outer space. Also saying outer space is voodoo is fucking hilarious. It's like, this is magic. It's like,
actually,
ain't the magic.
We talk about how they find the spaceship. You know what? What I've forgotten to just right now, the movie opens with the fucking spaceship crashing in the ice. And I mean, it doesn't show it crashing in the ice, but it shows the spaceship actually crashing in, like, what did they say? Like, it had to be there 100,000 years at least or something.
Yeah, right at the title screen where it says the thing, it shows the little blip in the atmosphere.
I thought that was pretty cool. Like, it gives you, it sets off like, okay, well, I know this is gonna be an alien movie. You know, like, trailers did exist in the 80s. It's not like that's a new thing, so they knew then. But it showed, like, right away. There was no, ooh, this is some spooky Earth thing or something. Maybe no. It's just
you knew you were getting a monster movie.
Yeah.
Now here's the question. What if the thing didn't want to infect the whole world? What if it just wanted to copy one guy and then, like, go work at a Wetzel's Pretzels?
I think the issue is that it kills them to do that.
Yeah.
So, like,
what if it just wanted to kill one guy and be cool? And
well, I think the issue is
everybody started freaking out.
But the biggest issue is it didn't do that.
Yeah, it could have done that before it ran hundreds of miles across the snow as a wolf or a husky. It could have gone back to the ship, you know.
Hey, Caleb, we've talked about this. There's things called inside thoughts, and that was one of them.
I was just saying, what if it was, like, peaceful, and then everybody came out with flamethrowers?
I'm saying, what if it was peaceful as it fucking chokes and blows up a whole? It killed everyone.
Well, because they attacked it. It could. What if it just wanted to be a puppy?
Well, so what do you guys think the rating for this one was for you guys?
For me, it's a perfect movie. 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
I can't. It's one of those things where I don't feel comfortable rating it. It's like I'm not worthy of, like, being critical of this in any way. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
I'll go 9 out of 10 because they could have made the monster's intentions a little clearer.
Well,
okay. What about you, Joe?
Next week we're gonna only have 2 people in this podcast. It's gonna be a surprise which 2, but only 2. For me, I'd say a 9 or a 10. It's good. Maybe closer to a 9 for me. Actually, there are some things that it's just maybe the age of it. It's a little dated in some ways. And some of the effects, most of the practical stuff really stands up, but a lot of your, like, actual character motivation, like you talk about when they go to the Norwegian camp and it's all fucked up and they're just like, oh, well, I don't know, let's take this thing back. Something's weird. Like,
yeah, there were some things to progress the plot that I was kind of like, what? Like, the computer simulation. It's just like, they're playing asteroids, and it's just like, this is what cells do. And then there's another, it just spits out a line of dialogue with who knows what input it had, but it's just like, in 27,000 hours, it would
the whole world is
assimilate all of Earth. It's just like, how does it know that?
There's a couple moments of like, this is stupid, but it has to move the plot along. But for a group of scientists out in the middle of Antarctica, they were kind of idiots sometimes.
My nostalgia factor just eliminates those for me.
Yeah, man, that's
it's great. It holds up really fucking hard. Like, it's worth watching, no matter if you have or haven't seen it. But yeah, I just go 9 out of 10.
Yeah, definitely. If you haven't seen this, what's your problem? Go watch it right now. And if you have seen it, what's your problem? Why aren't you watching it right now?
Yeah. So yeah, I thought it was great.
Yeah,
I think we all universally loved it.
Good little summary.
We're gonna change that universal praise next week.
All right, it's your turn.
Yeah, so I'm still into spooky movies. I know it's Thanksgiving, but Thanksgiving can be scary. So we're gonna go with So we're gonna go with whatchamacallit. What were we talking about that brought this up? We were all at your house, Kiefer.
Are we talking about?
We're doing Mary Shelley's Frankenstein from 1994. Because I like that movie, and it seems like the world doesn't. So I'm gonna try to figure out why with some friends.
I don't think we are talking about anything. I think you just brought it up because you have a sickness.
I mean, that's the case with most things, but I'm trying to figure out. I swear to God, we were on a conversation.
I think the crux of it was Robert De Niro. Was he in something we were watching?
We were watching fights.
Did somebody look like Frankenstein?
No.
Caleb just has issues.
About Robert De Niro before we were talking about Frankenstein.
See, Kiefer, I'm telling you, I brought it up for a reason. But either way, kids, that's the movie we're going to be watching.
Yeah, next week, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein from 1994. Don't watch the 1931 version.
Am I the only one who hasn't seen it?
No, I haven't seen it, but I've only heard bad things.
Okay, so 2 of us have not seen this.
Perfect.
Caleb, you have seen it.
Yeah, but not since I was under the age of 20.
Gotcha.
I look forward to my brains leaking out of my nose while I watch this.
I thought Kenneth Branagh had a string of good movies back then. I like Kenneth Branagh.
Well,
is he the one who directed this?
Yeah. He plays Dr. Frankenstein.
What didn't he do something like egregious recently? He did Cats, right?
He did do Cats.
Okay, we're not watching Frankenstein next week.
But he did a bunch of Shakespeare movies in the 90s that were all good.
No, we're gonna watch Frankenstein, but we're not gonna probably be very happy about it.
I'll do it. We have no rules on the movies we're picking, so if you say Frankenstein, we're watching Frankenstein.
That's what it is.
All right. Anything else you guys want to add?
Nah, I'm good. No. John Carpenter's a boss.
Word.
Definitely.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us this week.
Thank you.
If you like the podcast, give us a like. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Find our Facebook. Follow our Twitter. We're Monkeyscrolls and Scroll Monkey on those respectively. And, check us out. Tell other people to watch our stuff. It'd be really cool to make this something that I can do for paying my bills. But for now, that's the dream. For now, it's just fun, and I'm watching Mary Shelley's Frankenstein this week. So, adios.
Bye.